Any concerns about running the ball from the other day that having such difficulty?
No, I thought honestly, I mean, I know the yard per carry or yard per attempt was, just over 2, but I thought it was effective enough though to open up some of the little play action stuff, some of the drop back passes, things of that nature. And quite honestly, you saw commitment to the run, right? And how our offensive line, took charge right there. But sometimes it's not so much the yards per carry as much as you just got to commit to it and stick to it, because it does open up some other things in your offense.
And if you could hit the home run like James did that one time, that kind of makes it worth it.
It does, because you just kind of keep chipping away, and that's what our guys did last week.
Have you ever played through a rib injury ever?
Yes.
What's it like having to?
I mean, it's not fun. It's not comfortable. You're dealing with just body movements all the time. I remember when I did mine, sitting down, sneezing, coughing, laughing, all that kind of stuff can kind of agitate and irritate the area. But it just takes time to heal.
Does it tend to be slow to heal?
I think it depends on the person, the treatment, the rehab that they're going through. For me, it was just a few days, and you're back out there throwing and moving. But it's it's there.
Growing up where you did, what are your memories, if any? Junior high through high school of the Chargers. Wow. I mean, Air Coryell was probably the first NFL offense that attracted any kind of cachet nationally. I'm just wondering, how much did you get to see? What are your memories of it?
Yeah, I mean, I just, Dan Fouts and the guys, growing up, and on the West Coast, I mean, I was a Seattle Seahawks fan, growing up in that same division, and it seemed like they were always the ones to kind of, either them or the Raiders were the ones to knock the Seahawks out of the postseason at some point. But, it was just they were fun to watch. They were fun to watch. They're tight ends. They're skill guys. And they've always had sort of a rich tradition of that, and they still do.
What do you remember? Yeah, do you remember the playoff game against the Dolphins in the Orange Bowl? 24-0 lead they had, blew it, and then won it in overtime. It was considered like one of the 3 or 4 greatest games in NFL history. Do you remember it at all?
Nah, vaguely. Yeah, I've slept since then.
How important is it for you guys to just know where Derwin James lines up from play in and play out?
I mean, it's important. He's a good player, and he can play, on the edge as a rusher. He can play linebacker. He can play safety. He can play, just about anywhere on that defense. They ask him to do a lot, and he's a good player. He's all over the field. He's physical. It's important that we know where he's at. What
makes him, in your opinion, special or just a different type of player?
Well, I think just the versatility. We talk a lot about that with our guys. Having versatility to play multiple spots, and he can do that. And he understands that defense, and that's what makes him valuable to that team.
Do play callers get in a rhythm, and you feel like you're in a pretty good rhythm with the tools that you have to work with, even though it's early in the season?
Play callers do get in a rhythm, and then play callers can also get out of a rhythm. It all just depends on how the game is going. So you hope to be in more of a rhythm, obviously, each week. But the flow of the game is something that that's predicated sometimes by the players and how well we're just executing the offense, right? And then just allows you to kind of free your mind up and open your your sheet up just a little bit more to get to some more of the good stuff on your call sheet. But last Sunday was one of those examples, and it kind of goes back to the run game, just being able to stick with the run to help us open up some other things.
Is that hard to stick with the run when is that harder than it sounds?
It's hard, even the week before when you're down 14-3, you're still not out of the football game, and sometimes it's hard to, even as a play caller team, to commit and stick with it. But you just have to, kind of focus on it and make it an emphasis, I guess, each week to try to establish that.
How much do you think the offense we saw on Sunday for this team is the offense it will be versus countering what the Colts presented on defense?
I think one of the things that you learn in this league is it's week to week, right? And you do what it takes to win. And sometimes each week the game plans are going to be different. You know, the way we attack an opponent is going to be different. The way our opponent attacks us is going to be different. So you're constantly evolving and constantly, you know, shaping your game plans that way. What we did, yeah, I mean, if there's a blueprint, you know, yeah, you'd want to be that balance of run pass and success in the red zone and all that. But we know too as coaches that, you know, sometimes it could be a different offense from week to week just based on your opponent.
How much do you tweak for a West Coast trip as a head coach?
The only thing I'll tweak is, you know, Saturday. We'll be in the building a little bit sooner on Saturday. It's an early flight. And then, you know, just keep everything sort of on East Coast time when we're out there.
I know it's early in the season, still week 3, but how much emphasis do you put on this game, being that it's with a, you know, pretty good team in the AFC?
I mean, it's our next game. It's all the emphasis I need, you know, and our players need. The fact that it's the next one on the schedule, and, you know, we don't look past anybody, obviously, and we try to stay in the moment. And, you know, today's Wednesday, and we're going to get ready to go practice and play.
Have you tried to go a day early?
I've done that before as a player and as a coach. You know, there's really none. You know, studies have proven that there's not a whole lot. I mean, you know, every time zone you go back in time, it takes a day or so, you know, 24 hours to kind of catch up. So really you should go out on like Thursday, you know, if you really want to, you know, catch up. But I think if you just keep everything sort of status and keep the way, you know, we've been doing it here, it just, you don't have to worry about anything other than the time.
Mike Williams with a breakout game last Thursday against the Chiefs. Is the plan still with both Shaq and Tyson left and right, as opposed to maybe, you know, having one of them trail a number 1 wide receiver? Obviously, assuming that Keenan Allen does or doesn't go for LA.
You just want me to give up the game plan
Yeah,
right now?
totally. Yeah,
Just-
exactly.
yeah.
I guess we'll rephrase it too. How do you counter Mike Williams, potentially also Keenan Allen?
Yeah, I mean, 2 good players. I mean, 2 really good players, and you know, 2 big physical guys too. And it's going to take all hands on deck in our secondary to, you know, whether you end up doubling the guy or you sometimes you just got to lock up man to man and play. You know, maybe on 3rd down, but you know, our guys will battle. You know, they've got to watch the tape this week, and they got to, you know, study their opponent and study those one-on-one matchups. But you know, give these 2 guys respect. You know, 2 really good receivers in this league.
Have you been happy with the left-right split between Shaq and Tyson?
Yeah, it's been working good, and you know, a lot of and again, it's based on scheme too. Corners are going to travel from side to side from time to time, and you know, you try not to give too many indicators that way. But you know, been pleased with, you know, where they've been playing.
Cam's had his hands full the last 2 weeks. Now he gets Khalil Mack. Does Khalil Mack look like Khalil Mack of old?
Yeah, you know, it looks like he's healthy. He's fresh. He's ready to go. Been playing well these last 2 weeks. Yeah, it's going to be a good test for both our tackles, really, with these 2 guys. Again, a lot of respect for both of them, you know, what they've done in this league, and got a challenge ahead of us.
When you draft first rounders, and I guess I'll throw Tyson in as a top 33 kind of pick to make plays. You look at these first couple of weeks between Trevor, Etienne, Lloyd, Trayvon. I mean, you got pretty pleased with the way some of the young guys are making impact plays.
Yeah, you know, that's what you want, right? When you draft first, second, and even 3rd round guys, you want them to make an impact right away on and they have to make an impact, right? And to credit to, you know, Trent and the personnel staff for, you know, all the work they do, you know, leading up to the draft, and then obviously being able to be in a position to draft these guys and add tremendous talent to your football team. And again, you know, 3 young players that I think highly of. You know, they come to work every day. They try to get better at what they're doing, and they've played. You know, they've played well these first 2 weeks.
What is it about Justin Herbert's game that's allowed him to avoid the normal pitfalls you see young quarterbacks have? I mean, it just seems like right from the get-go, he was putting up monster numbers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously the scheme possibly that he's in, you know, allowed him to free up. You know, they've surrounded him early with some good talented guys. The run game, obviously, receiving core. And they're playing good defense too, you know, since they've been there, and just, you know, really it's the mentality of the coach too, right? I mean, it's Brandon Staley's an aggressive guy, and that's how the team, they're going to feed off of that, and that's kind of the idea here too. Is that the team will feed off of the tone that I set for them, and you see that with this group, and this group flies around, and that quarterback, and he can run. He's talented with his legs, obviously, and he's turning himself into a really good passer.
Is the injury report for you guys still blank?
I mean, it's good. Knock on wood, it's been good. Again, it's a credit to the players coming in and how they've worked in the weight room and their conditioning and all that. When we practice, you see it. We practice hard, during the week, and right now it's been pretty clean. We've come out of both games relatively clean, other than just some minor bumps and bruises.
Do you see the same, you came in last Wednesday, disappointing loss, thought you guys should have won maybe. You come in this Wednesday, is it the same team you're looking at in that room, or do you see a difference coming off a loss and a win?
Well, you see a little bit more confidence, coming off a win. But listen, we understand too that, again, just like I said earlier, it's week to week, and as much as you want to live in the past, you can't. You got another set of challenges, right in front of us, and we've got to go to work today. You got to put the pads on and go to practice, and you got to learn the game plan. Study your opponent. Can't worry about last week, and focus on trying to go 1-0 this week.
Some teams not handle winning well.
I mean, it's hard to probably speak for other teams. I just know that situations I've been in, it can happen, But again, I think that's my job to keep reeling the guys in and keep the goals right in front of the team.
How do you talk about the team needing to learn how to win? Is this week the perfect example of you got to win, you played well, but now you've got to go out and do it all over again?
Yeah, it's the so what, now what mentality, right? And we don't really care. Wins are great in this league and they're hard to come by, and we like them, but again, it's my job to make sure that the goals and the ambitions and the things that we're trying to get done stay in front of the football team, and keep pushing the team to get better, challenge the team to get better, challenge the coaches to continue to get better and find ways to improve, and it's a long season. You hear that all the time, but it really is, and it's just one game, but we got a long way to go.
You guys have had a lot of success running different plays out of the same formation. Does that get exponentially harder every single week?
Well, the more you put on tape, the more tendencies there are going to be, and so we've got to make sure as a staff that we kind of break our own tendencies with with different, whether it be personnel or different ways to run the same plays.
Is that paramount in your scheme, is to do a lot from the same personnel groupings and formations?
Well, I mean, the more you can execute the same play, guys know exactly where to be. You can tweak the personnel or tweak the formation, whatever, but there's some consistency there with keeping it simple that way. I'm also a believer that you got to keep challenging your players with new ideas, new thoughts, new wrinkles throughout the week, things that you can take maybe advantage of, in the game plan. But yeah, it gets, as the season goes on, more film is out there on every team, obviously, and same way with our opponents each week, and it does get a touch harder to game plan, but it's our job to find creative ways to move our guys around.
How do you know if you're making progress with the so what, now what mentality? Do you see it on the practice field during the week? Do you see the attention span in the meeting room? How do you know you're doing your job, as you say, to have this team focused?
There's certain examples. Just one, Arden Key after the game, everybody was excited in the locker room, and we're getting ready to break the team down and kind of go our own way after the game. But Arden spoke up and basically said, hey, it's a 24-hour rule. You can enjoy this win for 24 hours as a team, but when we come back, on Monday, it's on to the next. And that's a sign of maturity. And then today, with the meetings and stuff, and just seeing the focus of the guys, shows a sign of maturity, and I think they understand. And then it comes from me, obviously, leading the team that way. But yeah, today in practice will be important. It's a big day. You're putting in your base game plan. How well do they take it from the classroom to the field? Are we flying around in practice? You you can't shortcut for the hard work and preparation, and you got to keep doing it week in and week out.
Along the lines of the maturity level of this team and the focus, you have a team that hasn't won on the road in a couple of years, hasn't won on the West Coast very often. How do you leave the past in the past and convert them into doing it your way?
I think the number one thing is this is a different team. Honestly, we have different faces, different, for guys in that dressing room. We've brought in I think a level of experienced veterans to this team that have won where they've been, and so they know how to do that and sort of educate and teach. And same way with myself and some of the staff to be able to coach up. But it's a different group, and I go back to April and in this spring where we started talking about all that, and how we handle success as a football team, I think goes a long way to the success, right, of this season. And we just take them one at a time, and we keep kind of preaching that mentality.
How much, if any, analytics do you use within a game, say on a fourth down? Do you guys, like, how much in the room are you with the analytics team, and then within the game, I guess, do you kind of use that, or do you go more on like the game speed and how the game is going?
No, I mean, I visit with our analytics team throughout the course of the week, and just kind of, again, it goes back. Each week is different, right? And analytics are different each week based on your opponent. And you sit down and you look at them and you study them, and you have a plan as you go into, game planning, or even when you get in the game, just having the information available to you. In this past week, it was, some of the fourth down scenarios where, it was favorable, obviously, for us to go and take advantage of that. And so we did, and we were successful, on at least two of those, but analytics is a part of it. I'm going to continue to listen to it, but at the same time, I'm going to listen and watch the team and see where we're at during the course of a football game, who we're playing, how all three phases are playing, and make an educated decision at the time.
When you have to make a split-second decision, though, have you gotten better at kind of separating the two or creating sort of your decision?
Try to take the emotional aspect out of the game, because sometimes those can become emotional decisions based on the smart decision. And I think if you do that and just focus on the team and where you are and all the factors surrounding it, I think those decisions become easier.
How the Chargers have built their defense and just the amount of two high coverages they run. I mean, what kind of unique challenges does that create for an offense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's a too high sort of a shell to start, but they'll roll their safeties down to a bunch of 3 deep looks, and it's challenging because they kind of mix things up, that way. And they always, again, very similar to last week, they want to keep some eyes on the quarterback and rally to the football. Receivers have to be locked into that. Quarterback has to be locked into that, because a too high look at the snap is going to turn into one high pretty quick. And so we need to know exactly where to be and where to go with the ball.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks,
Thank you, guys.
Sorry for all the questions about winning. It hasn't happened a lot.
Alex.